Yogesh, one small question.
Yes.
We are covering topics day by day. So, are you
Yeah.
going to provide notes at the end, or
No,
uh,
notes means what type of notes you are looking or expecting from my side?
uh, for interview purpose or for?
So see, for the interview purpose, I have a separate questions, okay, for you. For the notes, see, I do not have any notes because every day Microsoft is changing the features and enhancing the feature. So what I recommend here, you need to go through the actual documentation which Microsoft has provided.
Okay.
Okay, so today I will show you how to read that documentation and which points you need to read for the interview prospects and as a best practices as well from the
Okay.
Microsoft. Okay, because every day Microsoft is changing the features and enhancing the features, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so any question till? Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll start it. Okay, so let's go into the. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll deploy one virtual machine and then we'll understand the other options. Because last week you have started the virtual machine deployment, right? So let's deploy one more virtual machine. Let me delete the existing virtual machine, which is already in running state, and we'll deploy new virtual machine. So this is the resource group, and this is the location, which is East US. Now we are building the one virtual machine into the East US only. So let's go into the virtual machine option. Let's create a new virtual machine. Again, into the next sessions, we will discuss like how to deploy virtual machine via script and via ARM template as well. Because into the industry, people are using the automation. Okay, so we'll understand how to use a JSON templates, which is ARM template, and how to deploy the multiple virtual machine in a single time. Because when you compare with the AWS, in AWS there is option we can spin up the multiple virtual machine with the single time. So into the AWS is asking like the number of instances, but that particular option Microsoft is not offering. Okay, so if you need, let's say 10 virtual machine, so the single script is required, and via that single script we can achieve the 10 virtual machines. So let's deploy the virtual machine under the DC200. This is my resource group. See my app server. Windows 2K12 R2. We are planning. This is the size B2S. B2S is offering 2 CPU, 4 GB memory. RDP we are going to allow. So probably today or next week we will understand like how the security works with the help of network security group. But now today we are going to allow only the RDP, and I'm going to allow HTTP as well. Okay, so where we can set up the website on the server. Okay, so under the disk again I'm going to select the standard one because this is a lab infrastructure. This is a default networking. So in the last session we are not discussed anything related to the network VNets. Today also we are not going to discuss on a network. Default option we are going to select here, disable, and let's review and create. And let's create a virtual machine.
We can create n number of VMs, right?
Yes,
Or is
we
there
can
any limit?
create, yeah, we can create a n number of, but to achieve the n number of VM, what you need to do? So there is a quota limit, okay, from the Microsoft on each and every subscription.
Okay.
So that quota, if you are using a pay as you go subscription, you cannot spin up more than 100 vCPU in a single region. Okay.
Okay.
So if you wanted to deploy more than 100 vCPU, in that scenario, just you need to raise a one ticket with Microsoft, and you need to ask them to uh, enhance your quota, okay, or increase your quota related to CPU and memory. Okay,
Okay.
because Microsoft also needs to be done some sizing at their end, right, for your subscription, for your account. So once you raise a ticket, immediately they will increase the quota of your subscription, and then you can deploy the n number of virtual machines.
So we need to pay extra for that?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Anyways, you are paying for your instances, right?
Yeah.
So the quota, yes, just quota you need to increase it. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Because see,
What's
Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft is doing some sizing from the back end, right?
Mhm.
Related to the physical servers, related to storage, related to networking.
Okay.
Yeah. Any question till?
yeah, I have one question. While
Yeah.
creating VM, there is one option, a download template for
Yeah.
automation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what does it like?
So
How does it
yeah,
work?
yeah. So that particular option we are going to discuss into the next sessions. So that
Okay.
option is required. Yeah, that option is required. Let's take an example. You need here 10 virtual machine. So we can download the template of the existing virtual machine. Means the all the settings of the virtual machines you can edit as per requirement, like network or IPs or name of the virtual machine, and
Mm-hmm.
10 instances can be deployed in a single way, okay, or a
Okay.
single time, okay, by using the automation.
Okay.
So there are multiple ways to do the automation. Like we can use the Terraform, we can use the Ansible, we can use the ARM template. So ARM template or your JSON template is a native tool from Microsoft, which Microsoft is offering free of cost. There is no
Okay.
cost. Okay. So if you are looking third party tool for the automation, you can
Mm.
have a Ansible, you can have a Terraform as well.
Okay.
Okay, so Terraform can be a integrate with your Microsoft subscription, and your
Mm.
Ansible can be a integrate your Azure subscription for the automation.
Okay.
Okay, so we are not going to discuss Terraform because this is a third party tool. Okay,
Mm.
but definitely we are going to discuss ARM template. Okay, and if we get the time, so we'll understand the Visual Studio as well, because Microsoft itself providing one more tool for the automation, which is Visual Studio.
Okay.
Okay, so from Visual Studio also you can do the automation. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Company using that third party applications?
Yeah, companies are using the third-party tool for like Terraform. Okay, I have seen Terraform. I have seen Ansible as well. Okay. Okay, so we have deployed the virtual machine. So this is my virtual machine. We have deployed that particular virtual machine under the resource group, which is DC200, and that particular machine is running under the East US. So East US is my data center where my virtual machine is running. So this is the type of, this is the size of virtual machine. The size can be increased, size can be decreased. We'll understand today only, like how we can do the uh, we can increase or decrease the virtual machine size. Then this is a public IP. Okay, so we'll understand IP things first, and then we'll understand like how we can reserve those IP addresses with the virtual machine. So let's go into the diagram. So this is the virtual machine. See, this is my app server. This is the virtual NIC, virtual network card. And Microsoft is providing the two IP addresses, right? Microsoft is offering here public IP, and Microsoft is providing the private IP address as well. So into the last session already we have discussed, right, how the IP is like configured. So by default, Microsoft is offering the two IP, public IP and private IP. So private IP address is already configured with the network card. Like you can compare with your laptop and desktop, right? So if you wanted to join your laptop or desktop or server in a network, so what you will do, you will assign one IP address on a network card level, and then you can add your virtual machine into the network. With the same way, Microsoft is also configuring the IP address on a network card level, but that particular IP address by default you will get from the DHCP server. Okay, DHCP server. So how that DHCP works, we will discuss into the network part, because this is a network component. So we'll understand like how it works and how Microsoft is offering the IP addresses, okay, from the DHCP. But that particular IP is a dynamic IP. So let's take an example. In our scenario, what is the IP address of our virtual machine? 1.4. 10.0.1.4 is a private IP address. Let's go here. This is my private IP address, which is allocated to that particular network card. Now there is a one more IP address which Microsoft is offering on the virtual machine, and which is my public IP. So this is the public IP. So last week also we have discussed that public IP is not configured on the virtual machine level. The public IP is not configured on virtual machine level. So there is no relation between your public IP and your network card and virtual machine. So the public IP Microsoft is offering with the NATing. So this is a NATed IP. This is the NATed IP with Microsoft Firewall. Okay, Microsoft Firewall. So when you attach a public IP on a network card, okay, automatically Microsoft will create a one NAT rule at Microsoft end. And also we do not have any control to manage to that particular rule. So this is a NATed rule. and that netted rule is created under the Microsoft firewall at top end. Okay. So any question till, any doubt? Okay. So your public IP also Microsoft is offering, which is dynamic, which is DSCP. Okay. So let's take up example. I wanted to deploy some application here. I wanted to deploy some website here. I need a static public IP. Okay. Because when you stop the virtual machine, Microsoft will reclaim the public IP. So if you are not reserving the public IP address, so that public IP Microsoft will reclaim, and when you start the virtual machine again, Microsoft will provide the new public IP address from the pool. But into the industry scenario, into the production scenario, that public IP should be a reserved into the virtual machine. Means Microsoft will not change the public IP, because we are planning to host some website, we are planning to host some web applications on the server. So the public IP is a very important object, okay, where we can map our custom domain. So today itself we will discuss what is custom domain, what is private domain, which Microsoft is offering. So what you need to understand, by default Microsoft is offering the two IP address, which is public and private, and both IP addresses Microsoft is offering with the DSCP mode. Okay, so let's try to connect a virtual machine. Let's go into the machine by using the public IP. Okay, now let's go into the command line. IP config. See, 1.4, 10.0.1.4. It's a IP address of the virtual machine. Now this is the gateway. Again, why 1.1 is a gateway, we will discuss into the networking class. But you will not get any public IP address, okay, with the virtual machine. So there is no relation, okay, public IP and your virtual machine. So this is only the NATed IP address. Okay. So what is the state of my virtual machine? Status, it is showing running. Okay. So let's shut down the virtual machine from the portal. Let's shut down here. Shut down. Okay, we'll understand those options. What is start, what is stop, and in between we'll understand the public IP reservation as well. So now we have shut it down the OS, and now Microsoft is showing that virtual machine is in stop mode, right? But still Microsoft is showing the public IP. Okay, so Microsoft is not changing the public IP. Okay, so what you need to understand here, when you stop the virtual machine from the portal, and now you need to understand the difference between two scenarios. So into the first scenarios, you are shutting down the virtual machine from the operating system, from the OS side. and now you're planning to stop the virtual machine from the Azure portal. So when you shut down the operating system, when you shut down the virtual machine from the OS side, Microsoft will not change the public IP address. And also Microsoft will not stop the metering or billing of the virtual machine. So at Microsoft end, that virtual machine still is running, and still your virtual machine is consuming this memory and CPU from the physical hardware. So let's take an example. There is a requirement, and your management is asking to stop the billing of the virtual machine. So in that scenario, you need to shut down the virtual machine first from the operating system side, and then you need to stop the virtual machine from the portal. Once you stop the virtual machine from the portal, then you can say, yes, my billing will get stopped. Okay, or Microsoft will stop the billing. So once you stop the virtual machine from the portal, means you are not consuming the CPU and memory, and you are not using the CPU and memory. Okay, so let's stop the virtual machine, and now Microsoft is asking, do you want to reserve the public IP address? Because that IP address we are not reserved, right? So if you click here, and if you say okay, then Microsoft will keep the same IP address, and Microsoft will reserve that public IP for that particular virtual machine. So what we'll do for the lab or testing purpose, we will not reserve the public IP. I will show you one more option from where we can reserve the public IP address. So say okay.
I have a question here.
Yes, please.
Does it charge for reserving the IP?
Yes. When you reserve the public IP, again Microsoft is charging. Yes. So everything is chargeable. There is no free. Okay, in Microsoft Cloud or in AWS Cloud, in Google Cloud. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we have stopped the virtual machine from the portal, and now that particular status will get converted into the deallocating. So what is deallocated? Deallocated means that particular virtual machine, okay, which is created on a physical box from the backend. So what Microsoft will do here, Microsoft will reclaim the CPU and memory from the virtual machine. Okay, so when you say reclaim, means that particular CPU and memory will get utilized for other virtual machines. Okay, and Microsoft will stop the billing for your CPU and memory, but still you are consuming your storage from the Microsoft from the backend. So Microsoft will charge on only the storage purpose, because you are utilizing the storage, you are consuming the storage. So as we discussed into the last session, right, when you deploy the virtual machine, by default Microsoft is providing the C drive, okay, which is my OS disk. My OS disk, and the OS disk size is 127 GB. Okay, so again Microsoft is offering one more drive, one more disk, which is temp disk, okay, with 8 GB. So 8 GB is depend on your virtual machine size. So now today we have deployed here B2S machine. B2S is a type of virtual machine, and B2S is offering 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, okay, and 127 GB disk. 127 GB disk, right? So Microsoft, when you stop the virtual machine, Microsoft will stop the billing of CPU and memory. So still you are consuming 127 GB from the Microsoft storage. So Microsoft will charge on a disk level only. Okay, so if you wanted to stop the billing of virtual machine, you need to stop the virtual machine from the portal, and then you can say, yes, my billing is stopped now. Okay, let's go into the portal. See, stopped, deallocated, and there is no public IP. Let's refresh here. There is no public IP, because that particular public IP Microsoft has reclaimed from your virtual machine, and that IP is allocated to some different virtual machine from different client and from different subscription from different account. Okay, so we do not have any control on that particular public IP. Okay, so let's start your virtual machine again. So now Microsoft will provide again new public IP address, and automatically when Microsoft is creating the NATing rule as well in the backend. So once you power on the virtual machine from the portal, automatically Microsoft will provide the new public IP from the pool, okay, and that particular IP address NAT rule is getting created automatically at Microsoft end, where we can access the virtual machine. See, this is a new IP address which Microsoft is provided. Let's go into the diagram. See, this is a new public IP. Also, one more point I wanted to highlight here, the public IP is not transferable. So if you ask me, like I have created one public IP, I'm using one public IP into the East US, and I wanted to use that public IP into the West US or Central US or Central India, which is not possible because public IP Microsoft is getting the public IP from the ISP, and from the ISP that particular IP address is the region wise. So the public IP which Microsoft is offering here 13.82.137.62 or 52.136.119.178. So this is a regional specific public IPs. You cannot use those public IPs into the different region or different data center. So those IP address Microsoft is offering into the East US only. So any question till, any doubt till?
Sir, can we use customize public IP? If we have one public IP, that one I want to use.
Customized public IP means, can you explain your question? What is customized public IP?
Means in on-premise we have one server, web server, that IP already assigned for that public IP.
Okay.
That sense we want to migrate the server to cloud and using the same public IP.
No,
so is it possible?
No. Public IP, we cannot use the public IP. So if you ask me, like I have my data center, and my data center is located in Pune only, and you have the public IP, and that public IP you're getting from the Tata or let's say Reliance, and you wanted to use that public IP with Microsoft Azure in Central India location. No, which is not possible. So that's why you need to take the help from the domain name. You need to deploy or you need to configure the domain name, okay, and then you can use the multiple public IPs, or you can change the public IPs, okay, but you are using the same name. Let's see, your application is running or your website is running www.test.com. So your test.com is getting mapped to one of the public IP. So that public IP can be a change anytime because you are not hitting on a public IP. You are hitting on your domain name, which is test.com. Now it's clear, or any question?
Sir, your voice breaking.
Okay. Now it is clear, or any question?
Yogesh?
Yeah.
Point over here is that I just want to know, in AWS, when you shut down the machine, even then you are charged.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Unless and until you delete that particular VM from that portal.
Right.
So in this case, since this machine is occupied, still you are deallocated the RAM and CPU. So will Microsoft charge for that, or it will not charge?
No, Microsoft will not charge on a CPU and memory. It means Microsoft is not charging on a compute part. Only Microsoft is charging on the storage part, which is allocated to that particular virtual machine.
So we need to delete that so that the charges should not come.
Yes. See, delete means, see, if you want to stop the virtual machines for the 1 hour or 2 hour or 1 day or 2 day, so you're not going to delete the virtual machine, right? So let's take up example. If Microsoft is of charging here, let's see, 2,300 rupees per month INR, I'm talking per month, okay. And if you stop the virtual machine, means you're not consuming the CPU and memory, so around you need to pay here 200 to 300 rupees per month for storage, because you are consuming 127 GB storage from the Microsoft. Okay, so you are paying for only the 120 GB storage, which is you are consuming into the virtual machine.
So, okay, got your point. Means still we, since it is the disk is allocated, so that charges would be applied whatever.
Yes,
their
yes, yes,
virtual
yes,
machine.
yes. Charges will be applied on a
Hmm.
storage level only, but Microsoft will not charge on a compute level, which is CPU and memory and network.
Okay. So, like as you said that once you deallocate the public IP which was there, okay, for the public IP, existing public IP, we have rules created like
Right,
3389, and
right,
if it is a web server, then you will open 443, and all that rules will be there in place. So
right.
once that public IP is lost, means all the rules are waived off. So
No,
now,
no, no. There is a different concept. Okay, there is a different concept into the Azure. So those rules will not lost. Okay, automatically that new public IP will get mapped to your network card. So there is a one more concept which we are going to discuss next week probably, which is network security group. Then you will get the more clarity. Okay, on those rules.
so existing rules or firewall ports which are opened or which are allowed, they still remain in existence if the
Yes,
VM is there, but deallocated in a
yes,
deallocated state. And once we get the new IP, again that rule will get applied to the new IP, right?
yes, 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 yes. You're correct. Yeah. Okay. So let's go into the portal, and we can see here new public IP address, which is 52.136.119.178, where I can access the server, okay, via that public IP. As we discussed, that public IP is not configured on virtual machine level. The public IP is configured at a firewall level with the netting rule. And when you hit on that public IP, okay, let's understand how it works. So when you hit on that particular public IP by using the RDP, so you're doing the RDP, right? RDP from your machine. So when you do the RDP from your machine, so you're hitting on a public IP. So that public IP will forward all the traffic to your private IP address. Okay. So the one more point I wanted to clear, like as we do not have any site-to-site VPN. Okay, let me explain into the another diagram. So this is the Azure East US data center, or let's say this is my subscription where I have created one virtual machine. One app server, and as we discussed, like Microsoft is offering the two IP address, public IP and private IP address, right? So by default, as a user, right, as a customer, as a user, I'm dealing with the public IP, right? So I'm hitting on the public IP. Public IP will forward that traffic to private IP, and then I can take the RDP of the virtual machine. So why we are using the public IP? So as per security policy, as per the best practices, we should not configure the public IP on a virtual machine level. So when you configure the public IP on a virtual machine level, means you are exposing your virtual machine over the internet. You are exposing the virtual machine over the internet. So anyone can hack your machine, anyone can hack your data, right? So in such scenarios, what people are doing, what people are deploying as a best practices. Again, the best practices we are going to discuss into the networking, because it's all the network concepts. Okay, we'll understand like how to design the network with the best practices. So instead of that, people are not using the public IP. People are creating the site-to-site VPN between two premises. So let's take up example. This is my office. This is my branch office. Okay, and from my branch office to the Microsoft data center. Now there are multiple ways to connect your data centers. So people are deploying a site-to-site VPN. Site-to-site VPN, or you can have a express route. This is again Azure service. Express route. And again, there is a one more new feature you will get, okay, which is very demanding feature for the connectivity people are using, and that particular service is nothing but SD-WAN. SD-WAN. Okay. Now SD-WAN over the internet only. Site to site over the internet only, but this is the secured connection. And this is a dedicated link between between your premise to the Microsoft premise, which is express route. Express route. Okay. So this is the dedicated connectivity, and which is very costly service which Microsoft is offering. Okay. So if you have site-to-site VPN, let's take a small example. Like I have a branch office, and my branch office is getting connected with the Microsoft Azure, okay, by using the site-to-site VPN. So instead of the public IP, I can hit directly on my private IP address. So private IP address will be the reachable from your location, from your branch. So this is the first way to configure your infrastructure. Now into the networking, again we will discuss, we will understand the best practices to configure the backend network and front end network, because when you compare with your on-premises, there is no concept of the VLAN. So when you deal with the physical data center, okay, into the physical data center, you will get the concept as a VLAN, where we can segregate the networking, where we can segregate the traffic. So there is no concept of the VLAN into the Microsoft cloud, and there is no concept of the VLAN with the AWS and Google cloud as well, because we are using a SDN concept, okay, with the public clouds. So there is no VLAN concept. So in that scenario, Microsoft is offering, or AWS is offering, some front end and back end network. So front end network is nothing but is completely internet facing, where my DMZ infrastructure is running, where my web servers are running. And there is a one more concept which is backend network, where my Microsoft, or where my databases or Active Directory or some critical servers will run on the backend network. So front end network with internet, backend network without internet. Okay. So in networking, again, we will discuss in depth those concepts. Okay. So we'll understand how to convert a IP address from DHCP to static. Okay. Again, one more point. When you check into the virtual machine, let me take the RDP. Okay, so now if you see here into the networking properties, okay, see into the networking properties, you will get all the details of the network card. Go to the, see, this is a DHCP IP address, right? You're getting the IP address via DHCP. But now there is a scenario. Let's take an example. You wanted to deploy Active Directory, and you wanted to deploy some other applications, and those applications required a static IP address, because there are few applications where we need to configure the static IP on a server level, right? So in that scenario, what Microsoft is recommending, don't touch to your network card inside the OS. Okay, you need to convert that IP address dynamic to static on a Microsoft portal only. Okay, so let's go into the portal, go to the networking tab. See, This is my virtual machine, and you will get the networking tab under the settings, and under the networking you will get here one more object, network interface. So this is my object, and that object I can see under the resource group. So let's go into the resource group. Go to the resource group which we have created. Now we have created DC200 as a resource group, and see a app server. Okay, 674 is a naming convention, is a auto generated number from the Microsoft, and that particular network card is getting attached to your virtual machine. So this is a network interface, and the same network interface I can see under the networking tab of the virtual machine. Okay, so as we discussed into the diagram as well, right? So this is the NIC, this is the network interface, and that network interface is attached with the virtual machine, right? So let's go into the virtual machine and go into the network interface, and under the network interface you will get the details of your private IP and public IP. Okay, so let's understand like how we can convert a private IP address from dynamic to static. So let's go into the IP configuration. Under the IP config there is a IP address, okay, which is showing primary, okay, with the dynamic. See, so this is the DHCP IP, this is the dynamic IP. Let's go here and we can convert that IP address with the static. Now one more scenario I can explain here. Let's take an example. You have migrated your virtual machine from on-premises to the cloud. You have migrated the virtual machine from on-prem to cloud, and into the on-premises there is an IP address with, let's say, 10.0.1.99, and you wanted to configure the same IP address like your on-premises, right? So the IP address we should not change inside the OS. If you need an IP address, that IP address can be a change at Microsoft portal level only. Let's see, I need here 99 IP. I need here 99 IP address. Okay, let's save. So IP address can be a change on a portal level as a best practice.
What will happen if we change at the NIC level?
So NIC level, if you change the IP address, so in that scenario, what Microsoft is saying here, Microsoft will not able to track the IP addresses, because Microsoft is maintaining your network, right? Microsoft is maintaining the DHCP server as well at Microsoft end, okay, from the VNet service. So there is a chances to conflict your IP addresses, because Microsoft will not able to track the IP address which is your configured inside the OS, and there is no access to Microsoft. There is no access to Microsoft, okay, to log in and check from your operating system, right? So Microsoft can check only the portal level. So let's go to the machine here. We have changed the IP addresses. Let's take the RDP of the virtual machine. RB config C 1.99. Now that IP address we have converted with the static, and also we have changed the IP address as well. Okay, so how to convert the IP address dynamic to static? Go to the virtual machine, go to the networking tab, network interface, and IP configuration, and simply we can change the option assignment dynamic to static. That's it. So once you configure as a static, then you can use the same IP, or you can change the IP address as per your requirement. Okay, the same way we can convert the public IP as well. So this is my public IP. See, virtual machine. This is the virtual machine app server, networking tab, and under the networking tab there is an option NIC public IP, and the public IP is showing 52.136.119.178. So let's go here. Again, same option, configuration, and we can convert with the static. When you say static, that IP address is not going to change. Okay, if you delete the public IP object from your resource group, then Microsoft will reclaim the IP address from your subscription. If you are not deleting, then you can use that public IP with the virtual machine with other services as well. Okay, but if you ask, can we map a single public IP with the multiple machines, or can we map a single public IP with a multiple Azure services? No, there is no option, or there is no way to configure a single public IP with the multiple Azure services. Any question till? Any doubt till?
Sir, in the
Public IP.
Yes, yes, go ahead, Irfan, go ahead first.
Public IP, will Microsoft charge that?
Yes, public IP is a chargeable. Yes, public IP is a chargeable.
So is it on monthly basis, or how much charges do we spend on public IP?
Yeah, is on hourly basis only.
Because I have heard it is very expensive for public IP when you attach that.
Yes. And when you compare, when you compare with AWS, see what is the mechanism into the AWS. If your public IP with the AWS, which is in allocated state to the virtual machine, then it is free. If your public IP which is not allocated to anywhere, then this is the chargeable. But into the Azure, if you create a public IP, Microsoft will start the billing.
So if we, the one which we get by default when you create a VM, so till the time the VM is there, and once you deallocate, then it will not be charged, right? But once you make it as a public IP as a static and use it, then it will be charged for
chargeable. Yes. Any question till?
Sir, so we can make the public IP and private IP both as static, right? You have showed.
Yes. Both public IP and prod IP, both. Yes.
Okay. The public IPs are very limited. I mean, it's a general question. How Microsoft can assign multiple public IPs for each and every VM they are provisioning?
Yeah, see, in that scenario, what Microsoft is doing, Microsoft is getting the public IP pool from the ISP from that particular region. So let's take an example. Like in India, Microsoft having 3 data centers, right? In Central US, in West US, in Central India, West India, and South India, right? So let's take an example of your Central India. Now, into the Central India, like that particular data center is located into the Tata's premises, okay, and they are using the Tata's connectivity. So in that scenario, Tata is allocating the public IP pool to the Microsoft. Okay, so even we can have a public IP pool as well on a subscription level. Let's see, I need a 4 public IP. Okay, I need a 4 public IP with a sequence, right? So that public IP pool also we can create it at Microsoft level, and we can allocate those 4 public IPs with our other services. Let's see, one public IP will configure with the virtual machine, second public IP will configure with the load balancer, third public IP will configure with the again other Microsoft services. So related to the public IP, we have two options. Either we can have a single public IP or either we can have a public IP pool where you will get one range, okay, of the public IP, and that range we can use with the multiple services. Now it's clear, or any question?
Oh, no, sir. It's clear. Thank you. And when the last doubt, as continuation to that, when we migrate any on-prem to the cloud, you said that we can't move the IP. So when the scenario is like we have to create the CNAME record and make use of the DNS.
Yes,
You
yes,
can't-
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
it. Right? Alias
Yes,
name.
that's yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because the public IP, okay, which you are using into the on-premise is the same public IP you cannot use into the Microsoft Cloud, which is not possible at all.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Okay, now we have discussed like how we can convert the IP addresses from the dynamic to static, and now we'll understand how the DNS Microsoft is offering and how the DNS we can configure at a virtual machine level. Okay, so for that, what we'll do, we'll install the IIS on the server, and then we'll understand the configuration part. Okay, so let's take up example. Your client is asking to configure the website or to configure some web applications on a Windows machine, and you're installing the IIS here. Okay, so let's try to add a rule here.
So for configuring IIS, we don't need AD and DNS role.
No, not required, because IIS is a different service. So IIS can use, okay, without Active Directory and without DNS.
Sir, by default, we get the C drive with 127 gigs and D drive, right?
Right.
That D drive is temp means once if the VM is shut down, will any data which we stored will be lost, or how it is?
Yes,
What is
yes, your data will be lost. Yeah, yeah. When you shut down the virtual machine, when you reboot the operating system, when you deallocate the virtual machine, your data will lost. Yeah.
what is the logic behind for providing for running that D storage from Microsoft?
Yeah. So as a temporary disk, what Microsoft is doing, if you have some application and that application is generating the huge logs, okay, and you don't want those logs, okay, so such type of logs you can generate on D drive.
Okay. So C will be the OS drive. And suppose if we want to store any application or any data specific, we have to go for create the new drive, E drive or F drive, something like that.
Yes, yes, yes. You need to add a new drives. Okay. Again, today we'll discuss how to add and how to do the sizing. Okay,
Okay.
from the drives, and then you can deploy the application. You can deploy or you can keep your data on that particular machine. Okay.
Okay. Again, it will be charging, sir. The
Yes,
drives.
yes, 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 yes. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Well. Okay. So any question till related to the public IP, private IP, which is very important to understand. Okay. So now we have installed IIS on the virtual machine, and let me check the default web page. See, now I can access my web page, default web page. Okay. So let me do some changes into the default web page. Web app. Okay, let's save and let's refresh. See, also during the virtual machine deployment, okay, we have configured the HTTP traffic as well, and let me demonstrate. Okay, now under the networking, we have allowed two type of traffic, RDP traffic and HTTP traffic. Okay, so how that NHG works, we will discuss next week. How the network security group works, we will discuss next week. But for the today's lab, just you need to understand, like we have allowed two type of traffic, which is RDP traffic and HTTP traffic. Okay, and by using the HTTP traffic, okay, HTTP is allowed on 80 port. What is protocol, what is source, what is destination, how to add rules, how to remove rules, everything in depth we are going to discuss next week. Okay, which is comes under network security group component. So as we have allowed here RDP and HTTP traffic, means we can use the same public IP and we can use the two ports. So already we are using 3389, means we can take the RDP of the virtual machine, and with the same IP we can use with the AT protocol as well, AT port as well. So let's copy that public IP and let's try to hit from outside. Yes, now I can able to access the web page. So what you need to do from your side, just try to hit on 52, 136, 119 and 178 and let me know the result. Please try to hit on that particular IP address from the browser.
Yeah, I am getting the page.
Yeah, the
Okay.
same case.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same page you are getting, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. But now my client is asking, okay, my client is asking here, I don't want to access my website with the public IP. I wanted to access my website by using the name or DNS. Okay. So do any idea like how we can configure the same? Do any idea? Any thought here? How we can configure the name here? How you are configuring the name into the on-premises? If you wanted to publish the website, if you wanted to publish the web application.
Uh, We can use a record.
We can use the a record, but my requirement here is I wanted to publish my website over the internet.
Okay.
Okay, my requirement here is the publishing the website over the internet, and that particular website or that particular portal is not my local one. This is the public one. So how we can achieve?
But this is already published, I guess, right? If we are accessing it from the outside, it means it is already published.
Yeah,
Now
it
just
is.
we need to add the name.
Yes, we need to add the
And if
name.
we purchase
Yes.
any domain, and we on that like if we purchase any domain from GoDaddy site, and if we add this IP address, we map this IP address with that name, then we can access same link using that domain.
Okay, okay. So this is the way, right? But let's take an example. I do not have any domain name, and my client is saying ki, like I do not have any budget to purchase the domain as well. So in such scenarios, what Microsoft is offering, by default, Microsoft is offering the DNS name as well. Okay, per virtual machine. See, let's go into the same options. Go into the same option. Virtual machine, networking, then the public IP and configuration part. Okay, and this is the DNS name label, which is optional, and Microsoft is offering here .eastus.cloudapp.azure.com. So let me explain the domain name, then you will get the more idea. So this is the DNS name which Microsoft is offering. So why East? It is EastUS because my server is deployed under the EastUS. That's why. If you deploy the virtual machine in West US, you will get West US. If you deploy the virtual machine in Central India, you will get a centralindia.cloudapp.azure.net. So that domain name will get varies as per your the deployment. Okay, as per your region. So eastus.cloudapp.azure.com. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to configure the name here. Let's see my app 100.eastus.cloudapp.azure.com. So let's configure here my app, let's say 3000, and that name should be available inside the DNS. Okay, so that particular name, that particular my app 3000 name should be available under the .eastus.cloudapp.azure.com domain. And now we can see, yes, that particular name is available, and let's save.
So what is that alias record one option?
Yeah, here we can create a multiple records. DNS zone you need to create. So how to deal with the DNS, we will discuss into the networking part. Okay. Because there are multiple ways to configure the same service. There are multiple ways to achieve the same thing. Okay. We'll discuss step by step. In networking probably, or next sessions, we will discuss the DNS part. So under the DNS part, there are two options, public DNS and private DNS. Okay. We'll discuss both public and private. Okay. Okay, now can you please try to access that particular site? Go to.
Yeah, showing the same page.
Showing the same page. You can also try from your end. So just try and let me know the result. This is the site. My app 300.eastws.cloudapp.
It's showing.
It is showing. Okay. Now, so now we have published a website, okay, into the particular domain, my app 300.eastws.cloudapp.azure.com. Now the next we will understand how we can publish the website by using our domain. So my client is saying, no, I don't want use the Microsoft domain. I don't want that particular domain. I want my own domain, okay, with my name. So in our scenario, we have a domain which is registered domain, which is cloudtechno.co.in. So we have cloudtechno.co.in domain, and that particular domain I have registered from registered on GoDaddy. So this is a paid service. So what we will do now, we will configure the website, okay, on that particular name, and then we'll try to access a website. So cloudtechno.co.in is a domain name. This is the domain, and my app, let's see, 300.cloudtechno.co.in. Okay, so to achieve that particular configuration, we need to do some changes into the DNS. But in which DNS? GoDaddy DNS. So when you purchase the domain name from the any vendor, like there are multiple websites, there are multiple vendors, they're providing the domain name. So once you purchase the domain name, you will get the DNS panel as well, DNS control panel, and into the DNS you need to do the entry. Okay, so now again, as we discussed, there are multiple ways to achieve the same thing. In next classes, we will understand how we can use the Azure DNS service. Now currently we are not using any Azure DNS service. We are using, or we will use, a DNS service which is provided by my registrar. Okay, where we have registered the domain name. In our scenario, this is the GoDaddy. So we will use the DNS servers from the GoDaddy, right? So let's log in into the GoDaddy portal. Check. So let me reshare it, okay? Okay, so this is the GoDaddy, and I have logged in with my credentials. So let's go into the manage domains. So this is the domain name, cloudtechno.co.in. Okay, now under that particular domain, you will get here one option as a manage DNS, where we can manage our DNS records. Okay, so this is the default records. Let's try to add record here. Select the A record, and I wanted to have here my app 300. Let's see, points to public IP. So what is the public IP of the server? This is the public IP. So what is the link to access the website? Dot .co.in. Can you please try to hit from your side? My app 300.cloudtechno.co.in. See, I can access my website with my custom domain, which is my app 300.cloudtechno.co.in.
Yeah, it's accessible.
Is accessible, right? Okay. So what we'll do, we'll take a break here, and we'll connect after 10 minutes, and we'll understand the disk part, like how we can deal with the disk, how to attach the multiple disk. Then we'll understand a image. Okay, and again we'll understand the other options as well to manage the virtual machine. So any question till any doubt? Pallavi, any question from your side?
So, this is our custom domain, right? We are taking from some other sites and using here.
Yes.
Okay. So we can create other IAS tools, and we can call the same web services from there.
Yes. Even though we can have a multiple website on a single server, same server, and we can configure the multiple website with the different ports as well. Yeah, and those ports can be allowed, and we can have a multiple websites on a single server. Yeah.
Microsoft is providing a same domain like we doing here.
Sorry, Microsoft
is providing same domain services like this.
Yeah, see, Microsoft is not providing the domain services like AWS. From the AWS, you can purchase a domain. Yeah, no, Microsoft is not offering that service till. Okay, so
Yogesh, but in what scenario we will use this like this GoDaddy.com instead of configuring our own AD and DNS in server itself? Because there is no charge for that.
Yeah. See what people are doing, or what is the best practice. Instead of you're exposing the DNS and Active Directory over the internet, so the first preference, use the external DNS. Okay, and map your all the records into that particular DNS, because that particular DNS is a free DNS you're getting from the your registrar where you register your domain, right? In second scenario, you can expose your DNS, you can have your own DNS, public DNS. Okay, now third scenario, instead of configuring the rules and everything on a server level, we can have a natting at our end. Okay, and that particular scenario we will discuss into the networking, because for that you need to understand the security things as well. Okay, so as per security, as per audit, as per security, now today's scenario we cannot use into the production infrastructure. We cannot use it. Okay, and also we should not use it, because this is not a best practices which Microsoft is saying. Okay, now but for the lab purpose, just we have discussed, and again I have demonstrated as well. But as a best practice, we will discuss into the networking class, because networking is a very important topic or is a very backbone of your Azure infrastructure. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll back in 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go into the portal, and we have configured the website with our custom domain, which is cloudtechno.co.in, and my app 300 is a host. Okay, host name we can say, and we can able to hit on the website where we can access the website. So now with the next point, we'll understand the disk of the virtual machine. So we'll understand how Microsoft is offering the storage and how to configure the disk at a virtual machine level. The complete disk part we will discuss. Okay. And then we'll understand the images, how we can convert the image. Okay. How to use the image and how we can deploy the virtual machine by using the master image, because now the virtual machine we have deployed from the image, and that image Microsoft is providing, right? But now there is a requirement where I need a multiple virtual machine with the specific applications. So we'll discuss how we can create a master image, master template, and how to deploy the virtual machine by using our template, own template. Okay. So let's go into the diagram. So this is the machine. Okay, we have deployed, and by default Microsoft is offering 127 GB, and by default that 127 GB can be a extend 127 GB to 4 TB as a
At the cost of that.
no, the cost will be a difference. Okay, so you need to pay more cost, because in, let's take an example, like we are discussing, like Microsoft is offering B2S, and under B2S 127 GB. So you're paying for only 127 GB. Let's take an example, you wanted to increase the C drive as per your application requirement. You need here 500 GB. You need here 500 GB, then you need to pay extra cost. Okay, so your OS disk can be extend up to the 4 TB. Again, is completely depend on which region you're using. Okay, in some region it got supported with the more space, but 4 TB is a limit. Okay, for the OS disk. Now apart from your OS disk, my application team is asking a multiple disks on a virtual machine. Let's see, E drive, F drive, G drive. Okay, so I need your E drive to install the application. I need your F drive to keep my databases, and I need a G drive to keep my logs. Okay, SQL logs or my application logs or website logs. So I'm looking here some storage. Okay, at the virtual machine level. Okay, so storage, there are multiple storages. Okay, so disk again is comes under the storage. So this is a disk storage. Okay, in next classes we will understand the Azure Microsoft storage account, where we can upload the data, where we can download the data from the storage account. So again, this is a type of storage. Okay, so we'll discuss a disk storage. Okay, where we can attach the multiple disk to the virtual machine. Now during the virtual machine deployment, we have discussed one point, and that point is nothing but a virtual machine size. So virtual machine size is the responsible for number of disk. Okay, so let me explain one more time. So when we deploy the virtual machine on Microsoft, go to the virtual machine, and let's try to create a one more virtual machine. So we will not create a machine, just I wanted to explain that particular option one more time. Let's deploy the virtual machine. See, go to the all sizes. See, this is the option data disk. So now we have selected B2S and we have deployed the B2S, and what B2S is saying, 4 data disk you can, sorry, 4 data disk you can attach to the virtual machine. So your application team is asking, no, I need 10 drives, I need a 10 disk. So in that scenario, you not able to configure the 10 disk to the virtual machine. because your virtual machine itself supporting with the 4 data disk. So your requirement is, let's see, more than 4, then you need to choose a different size of virtual machine. See, in D series, DS2V2 is supported 8 disk. Your D8S V3 supported 16 disks. So those disk, okay, we can attach, and again, number of disk is completely depend on which virtual machine type you are using. Okay, so like B2S, B1S, B2MS. Okay, so B1S is supported with the 2 disks. B2MS is supported with the 4 disks. Okay, B2S is supported with the 4 disks. So you need to understand first requirement from the application team. Also, we will discuss like how we can change the virtual machine size. Okay, we can increase the size, we can decrease the size as well. Okay, but downtime is required when we do the size increase or decrease. So let's go into the virtual machine. So before understanding the disk part, okay, we'll understand one more concept, and that concept is nothing but virtual machine with the managed disk and unmanaged disk. So let's go into the diagram. Disk storage, or we can say virtual machine disk, simply VM disk. So there are 2 types. Okay, managed disk, unmanaged disk. Okay, so the virtual machine which we are deployed, that virtual machine we are deployed with the managed disk. So we'll understand what is managed disk and what is unmanaged disk. Okay, if we get time today, we'll perform the labs as well, then you'll get the more understanding. So when you say virtual machine with the managed disk, so managed disk is nothing but when we deploy the virtual machine or when we add the disk which is comes under managed disk. So Microsoft is deploying our disk at Microsoft end with the Microsoft storage. See, this is the storage. This is the storage. Now I'm talking Azure storage account. Azure storage account, and that particular storage account is configured at Microsoft end. So storage account, managed by Microsoft. Everything done by Microsoft here. Microsoft will manage the storage account. Microsoft will monitor the storage account. But the disk you need to manage. Disk of virtual machine. Okay. So let's deploy a one more virtual machine and then we'll compare the difference. Okay. So let's go into the virtual machine tab, resource group. So the first machine we are deployed with the managed disk, and second virtual machine we will deploy with the unmanaged disk. So let's create a one more resource group first. C300.
Oh, why we need to create different resource group? Can't we can use, configure in same?
Yeah, we can have virtual machine with the same resource group, but I wanted to give some the comparison. That's why I'm creating the new resource group for the new virtual machine. Okay. Yeah. So DC300 we have created. Let's create a virtual machine. Add DC300 and let's see app server 1. East to West, Windows 2 12 R2, B to S. Okay. Admin 100. Password. Next. Okay. Now for the operating system disk, I don't want premium SSD. I need a standard one. And now we need to deal with the advanced option. Okay. So let's go into the advanced option. See what Microsoft is asking here, use a managed disk. So this is a default option, but into the scenario, I don't want to use the managed disk. The same moment, Microsoft is asking to create a storage account. So Microsoft is creating the storage account as well. And the storage account we can have with our name as well. So this is the auto generated name, DC300 disk. This is the auto generated name. Let's take an example. I don't want that name. I need a storage account with my name. So we can have the storage account with our name as well. But we will not discuss a storage today. Okay. So we are going to create a storage account with the default generated name. And that name is generated by Microsoft. Okay. So we will not use our name. We are using the default generated name. Okay. Everything will remain same. A default network. Next. Let's create it. And then we'll understand the differences between two concepts, virtual machine with managed disk, virtual machine with unmanaged disk, and then we'll try to attach a multiple disk to the virtual machine.
Yogesh,
Yeah, Irfan. Yes.
just missed one point. I just wanted to know that since we deployed the HTTP URL, okay, and mapping is done. So is there any certificate provided by Azure
No.
so that we can?
No. Certificate, Microsoft is not offering any certificate, okay, when you use the Microsoft domain name. So certificate you have to manage at your end only.
No free certificates or something like that?
No. But when you deploy the web app, then Microsoft is offering the free certificate as well. Okay, so the machine we have deployed. Now let's go and understand the differences. Now we have deployed two machines. Go to the diagram. App server, app server 1. So app server we have deployed with managed disk. App server 2, sorry, app server 1 we have deployed with unmanaged disk. Unmanaged disk. Okay. So when you talk on a managed disk, Microsoft is creating the disk at Microsoft end, Microsoft level inside the storage account. So this is the storage account. The storage account, and Microsoft is creating the VSD file here. VSD file. Okay. Now we do not have any control to access the storage account or to manage the storage account. Okay. So all the activities performed by Microsoft for the management, for the performance management, then your monitoring, everything Microsoft will do here. But now there is a one more scenario with unmanaged disk. So during the unmanaged disk virtual machine deployment, Microsoft has created one storage account, and that particular storage account Microsoft has created under our resource group. So this is my storage account, Azure storage account. Okay, so let's compare. Go to the portal. Now this is my server 1, and the server 1 we have created under the DC 200. This is the app server, and this is the app server 1. App server 1 we have created under the DC 300, and app server we have created under the DC 200. Now when you compare the objects, okay, under the DC 300, we can see here one more object, and that object is nothing but my storage account. So we are the owner of the storage account now. We need to manage the storage account. We need to own the storage account, related to performance, related to the monitoring as well. But I cannot see here any VSD file. But into the first scenario, I can see only the disk file of the virtual machine. I can see the disk file of the virtual machine, but I cannot see the storage. So this is a difference between two concepts: virtual machine with managed disk, virtual machine with unmanaged disk. Okay, now how we can check the disk file? Okay, into the second scenario, which is my unmanaged disk. Go to the storage account. So how storage account works, what is storage account, we will discuss later. Just you need to understand the concept. Like one storage account is getting created automatically at our end during the unmanaged disk virtual machine deployment. Under containers, this is the folder, this is the directory, this is the container, and under the container I can see the app server VSD file. So this is my app server 1. This is my app server 1 VSD file. So if you go into the properties, you will get the complete URL, the complete path of the file, means on that particular location that file is getting created. So let's compare here. See, https dc300 disk.blob.co.windows.net. This is my storage account. This is my container, and under container we can see the VSD file. But when you compare with the first scenario, go to the disk. See, here I can see the disk, but I cannot see the storage. But let's go into the disk option, and under the disk there is option the properties. Let's go into the properties and let's check the location of that particular file. This is the location of the disk file, and into that location, if you see here, that particular disk is getting created at Microsoft end. So we do not have any control on that particular storage account. So recommendation here is first scenario, deploy the virtual machine with managed disk. Everything managed by Microsoft. Main thing is the performance, because we should get the required performance or expected performance as per the virtual machine type. Any question?
I have a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a particular disk is getting full or something like that, so we will be notified, like?
No, see disk. See, as you're asking, like the particular disk is getting full. Yeah. So the disk is getting full inside the operating system, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So when you say inside the operating system, we are the owner of the operating system now. Okay, so we need to configure the alerting system by using Azure services or by using the third-party monitoring tool.
Okay.
Okay, but if anything goes wrong from the physical side, okay, then Microsoft will be the responsible.
In case of managed disk.
Yes, in case of managed disk and in case of unmanaged disk as well. Okay, but let's take an example performance wise. You are not getting the expected performance when you deploy a virtual machine with unmanaged disk.
Okay.
So what will be the cause? Any thought? Any Any thought here? What will be the cause? The cause here is like you have deployed a multiple virtual machines, you have deployed a multiple VSD files on a single storage account. That's why you're not getting the throughput. That's why you're not getting the best performance. So that particular monitoring, that particular performance management you have to do at your end, because you have deployed a virtual machine with unmanaged disk. But when you deploy the virtual machine with a managed disk, the everything means management and performance, everything done by Microsoft.
Okay, at hardware level, right?
Yeah, hardware level or at a Microsoft level. So we are not owning that piece because this is a service which we are going to purchase from the Microsoft.
Yeah, got it.
Got it. Yeah. Any question till?
Sir, in managed and unmanaged, do we get the options? I mean, the functionality like SSD, like all the
everything will remain same. Yeah. Everything will remain same. And one more point I wanted to highlight when we talk on a managed and unmanaged disk, all the new feature is supported with only the managed disk option. Okay. So if you deploy the virtual machine with unmanaged disk, so might be you will not get a few features, but all the advanced feature is supported with only the managed disk option. Let me show you. See, go to the portal. So this is the virtual machine, right? We have deployed. So app server we have deployed, and that particular server we have deployed with the managed disk option. And now second server we have deployed with the unmanaged disk, right? So let's go into the virtual machine. Go to the virtual machine, app server 1, right? So what is the difference between two options? See, here I can see the capture option, but here I cannot see the capture option. So such options, such features you will not get on a unmanaged disk virtual machine. So recommendation is deploy the virtual machine with unmanaged disk, because we are going to purchase a services from Microsoft. So Microsoft will manage each and everything at Microsoft end. And if you are not getting the performance, then we can ask to the Microsoft why we are not getting the performance as per the virtual machine type. And then Microsoft will be the responsible for that particular thing. Okay. Any question till?
Sorry, you said the capture feature, because due to lagging, internet lagging, I could not able to see the option where it come across.
Yeah.
Same here. I was not able to see.
Yeah, this is a capture option. See. Can you see the capture option?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that capture option you will get with only the virtual machine with managed disk. If you deploy the virtual machine with unmanaged disk, then capture option is not available here at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So now let's understand how to attach a multiple disk. So we'll discuss with the both scenario. We'll attach to the disk to the virtual machine with managed disk as a managed disk. We'll attach the virtual machine. We'll attach the disk to the virtual machine as a unmanaged disk as well. So let's go with the first option, first scenario, and go to the disk option. Okay. So this is a OS disk. By default, Microsoft is offering with 127 GB. This is a IOPS, and those IOPS completely depend on your size of the disk. This is a throughput, 60 Mbps read and write speed. Encryption part we will discuss later. So now I can give here only the introduction. Like the encryption by default, Microsoft is doing with the platform level. Okay. So this is a platform managed key. PMK means platform managed key. Microsoft is managing the encryption at platform level, but this is not recommended option. Recommended option is a different. So we should have own key vault to manage the keys, and into the next scenarios we will discuss how to do the encryption at our end. Yes.
Sir, your screen in between is lagging or stuck.
No, it is not stuck.
I think I'm facing here, so I think all other people.
So
even myself also, sir, there is some lagging.
Yeah, let me reshare it. Okay, let me reshare it. Just give me 1 minute. Now, I share the screen. Hello, can you see the screen now?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, now, so this is a OS disk. Okay, OS disk with the 127 GB as we discussed. This is a throughput. This is a my maximum IOPS. This is a throughput, and the platform managed key Microsoft is offering here. So let's try to attach a virtual, or let's create a new virtual machine. So there are two options: attach the existing disk and create a new disk. So what we'll do first, we'll understand the first option, then we'll understand the second option. Creator. Okay, so it's Microsoft is allocating one LUN as well. So LUN is nothing but it's a logical unit number. Disk name, let's see, data disk, app server. And now Microsoft is asking the which storage type you wanted to use: standard HDD, standard SSD, and premium. So when we select a standard HDD, okay, you will get the limited performance. So limited performance means, see, this is the 500 and maximum throughput will be the 60 Mbps. Let's take an example 1024. 1024. See, so when you add the storage with the standard, you will get the limited performance, and that limited performance is nothing but your 500 IOPS and 60 Mbps throughput. But your application team is saying, no, I'm going to deploy here some mission critical application, and that particular application is required more throughput, more IOPS, or more read and write speed. So in such scenarios, you need to use a standard SSD, okay, or premium SSD. So let's select the standard SSD, and I need here 1024 GB. Okay. So again, you will get the throughput with the standard SSDs. Let me show the article. You will get the complete idea. Throughput. Azure disk.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you there? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So go to the. Just I wanted to show the differences between all the disk. Okay, with the numberings. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. Recommendation. Okay, so this is a difference. See, when you use a standard HDD, this is the maximum throughput. Okay, this is the maximum throughput. When you use a standard SSD, again this is the maximum throughput, and under the premium SSD, 900 Mbps throughput you will get. and this is the maximum IOPS, 2000, 6000 and 20,000. And when you use the ultra disk, you will get the 1,60,000 IOPS, where you will get 2000 Mbps read and write speed here. So that particular ultra disk are suggested for the critical workload like SAP HANA, like databases server, Oracle server, SQL server, where you are going to do a multiple transition heavily. Okay, like your banking domain. Okay, you have to use a ultra disk only, where you will get the best performance. So one more, this is the thing. See, if you deploy here, let's see, this is a performance. See, that particular performance will get varied as per the your size of virtual machine disk. So if you configure the 32 GB, then you will get the IOPS. Okay, 9600. If you configure the 64 GB disk, you will get the 19,200 IOPS here. So your IOPS will get increased when you increase the size of disk automatically. See, same thing with the premium SSD as well. 4 GB. See, this is the IOPS. P2 means your 8 GB, P3 means 16 GB, 32 GB, 64 GB. So you will get the required performance when you increase the size of the disk here. See, and what is the maximum size here? 32 TB. And when you select the 32 TB, you will get a 20,000 as a IOPS and 900 Mbps is a throughput. Okay, so let's go into the app server. And now I'm going to deploy here a standard HDD with 32, or let's see, standard SSD with 32 GB. Keys, platform manage key. We are not using the other option here, and let's see.
Yogesh, I'm a bit lost here.
Yes.
This disk attachment is for both, right? Managed and unmanaged, correct?
Yes. See, the initially we are discussing how to attach a disk to the managed virtual machine, means as a managed disk. Okay.
Okay.
And now we will understand with the unmanaged disk. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But at a time, your single disk can be a map with the single virtual machine only. Okay. We'll discuss one more scenario where cluster is required, where shared storage is required. But initially, we are not going to discuss, okay, on a cluster part. So till you need to understand a single disk with the single virtual machine. You cannot map a single virtual disk with the multiple virtual machines. Okay, we can, but again, that particular feature Microsoft is not offering with all the regions. Okay, because this is a new feature from Microsoft, and like 6 months back, Microsoft has released that feature. Okay.
Okay.
So we have added one disk here under the app server, and let's log into the app server. So go to the virtual machine. This is the IP address. 78, I believe. Yeah, already we have logged in into the machine. Okay. So let's go into the disk management or computer management. Okay, so under the disk, we can see here new attached disk. See, that particular 32 GB disk we have attached to the virtual machine, right? right click, and we can have a simple volume here. And I can see here one more try. See, E drive, and that E drive we can use to keep our data or to install the application. Okay, so any question till, any doubt till?
Sir, suppose if mine is one startup, so I can't able to take the E drive, and I would like to store it on the C drive itself. By generally we will come across OS corruption, BSOD kind of issues. That time my data will be lost. How can we ensure that the data is safe or can retrieve back?
See, again, there are multiple things. So there are multiple options. Like as you said, you do not have budget to add up one more data disk. So means obvious you do not have a budget to enable the backup as well, right? So if you face any issue in that scenario, there is only the one option. You can attach the disk to the other virtual machine and you can retrieve the data. You can copy your data on a different server. That's it.
Okay, the C drive.
Yeah. C drive disk you can attach to the other virtual machine and you can retrieve the data.
Okay, so these are loosely coupled. We can attach and detach.
Yes. Like which you are doing into the VMware scenario, right?
Okay.
Yeah, into the VMware scenario, the same practice you need to follow, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sir, there is any option to use on-premise storage in virtual?
There is one option. Okay, like when you compare with the storage, means you wanted to use a on-premises storage, and that LUN you wanted to map to the your Azure virtual machine, right?
Right, sir.
No. Because you will get the more latency, right? Because storage, storage you're keeping at your end, and virtual machine is running at Microsoft end, right?
Yeah, right. So latency and the network issue will be there.
Yes. No, you will get the multiple issues in that scenario.
Okay. But there is option, but we can use it, but we're facing the other issues.
Yes. There is option, but is not recommended at all. Okay. So yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
You can have a iSCSI scenario, like iSCSI server is located at your end. Okay, FC you cannot use it, fiber channel you cannot use it, but iSCSI you can use it. Okay, so iSCSI storage you can have at your end, and your again the main important requirement here is you should have a connectivity between two infrastructure with the high speed.
Yes.
Then you can achieve.
Okay. And this hard disk size now here showing 30 GB, 31 GB. So whatever data we store there, as per the data storing, they charge us or full charges.
Yeah, again, you need to understand one more concept. So before that, you need to understand thin and thick concept. Okay. You need to understand when you discuss on a costing part. Okay, so let me explain here. Now you need to understand thin disk, thin disk, thick. Okay, so now the costing part, right? So when you deploy a standard disk, so I'm talking only the standard disk. Okay, so standard disk is completely thin. Okay, when you provision the disk with 32 GB, but in actual you're not using a 32 GB, right? So out of 32 GB, if let's take an example, you're using only 10 GB, so Microsoft will charge on only the 10 GB. Okay, as per your utilization, Microsoft will charge. But when you compare with the premium disk and ultra disk, so those disk Microsoft is deploying with the thick mode. Okay, means let's take an example, you have ultra disk or you have premium disk with the 100 GB, and you're not keeping 100 GB inside the disk. Okay, inside the OS, you have only 10 GB data, but still you need to pay for the 100 GB because you are using a premium disk or you are using a ultra disk. That's why. Now it's clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now clear.
Okay.
Okay, and in the what is different between the premium disk and ultra disk?
Yeah, ultra disk, into the ultra disk you will get the more throughput. That's it. Where those disks you can use into the SAP infrastructures. Okay, where you require a more throughput, more read and write speed. With the banking sector, okay, with the Oracle, with the SQL, with the Exchange servers, okay, where you need a more read and write speed, you can use it. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So let's go into the machine, okay, server, and let's try to copy some data here. See, this is my data, this is my data, right? Okay, now go to the disk part again, disk option, and we can see one disk is getting connected, okay, with the virtual machine. And let's go into the disk option. So this is the disk, and again I can see the disk, okay, inside the my resource group with the same way, because this is a managed disk. This is a managed disk. Okay, go to the resource group, DC200. See, this is my OS disk, this is my data disk, which we have created. Now let's go into the app server 1 and create a disk. And again, you will get the differences. Add a data disk. So when you add the data disk, now Microsoft is asking the path, okay, to create a data disk. Let's compare with the VMware. Into the VMware, you're creating the disk. My VMware is asking the data store detail. With the same way, Microsoft is also asking the details, right? So new disk you required. I need a standard HDD. I need here 32 GB disk. Okay, and now Microsoft is asking the container, means storage. Okay, so I wanted to deploy my disk under the storage account. Okay, so I have two storage account, so we'll use the DC300 disk storage account, which is getting created automatically. And under storage account we have the directory, which is VSDs. Let's see, app server 1 will give here a data disk. We'll change the name. Say okay and save. Okay, now into the first scenario, Microsoft is not asking the location. Microsoft is creating the disk at Microsoft end, okay, with the required storage. But now into the second scenario, Microsoft is asking the storage details as well to create the data disk. Okay, so let's connect to the machine, which is my app server 1, by using the RDP only. Okay, so successfully updated the virtual machine here with the disk. And let's try to log into virtual machine. Okay, let me restart the machine. Let me refresh. Okay, so let me take the RDP from the server itself. Not sure what is the problem. So RDP is already allowed with the virtual machine, but still we are not getting the RDP. Okay, let me check. 10.0.0.4 app server 1. Stop and start again. See, this is a warning from Microsoft. App server is not using the managed disk. Migrate to managed disk. Okay, we'll demonstrate how we can migrate the disk from unmanaged to managed as well. So, any question till any doubt?
Sir, why public IP not changed when we restarted?
No, see, we have restarted from the guest OS. That's why that public IP is not changed. So when you stop the virtual machine from the portal, and when you start the virtual machine, then you will get the different public IP address.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start.
For this particular VM, did you change the IP to 99?
No, not required. This is a default IP address, which is taking from the VNet from the DHCP server. So the IP address we have changed on a first machine, which is app server, with managed disk. Now we have deployed one more machine, which is app server 1 with the unmanaged disk. Okay.
So unmanaged disk means you are taking C drive from the by default from the Microsoft, right, which comes with the VM, and the another data disk
no,
which you
no,
are
no,
trying.
no. Unmanaged disk mean to see we need a storage, right? In both scenario, without storage you cannot create a disk, either OS disk or data disk, right? So the difference between managed disk and unmanaged disk is, into the managed disk scenario, the storage account managed by Microsoft, and into the unmanaged scenario, the storage account managed by our team only. So this is a difference.
So in that case, you are saying that even if you want to create a C drive that from unmanaged disk, so that storage account will be like from our blob storage or whatever storage account we create.
Yes. And my storage team will manage the storage account.
Okay.
Admin 100. Okay, but from Microsoft side, from the storage side, if you see, go to the storage account where we have deployed the virtual machine. Okay, so this is a storage account, and now under the container we can see the two files, two VSD files. Go to containers, VSDs. See, this is my OS disk with 127 GB, and this is the data disk which we have added, right? So the storage account we need to manage it. Okay. Let's go into the server, and again we can have computer management here. Disk management.
How this disk got mapped to your VM directly?
No, we have attached the new volume to the virtual machine, means new disk to the virtual machine. See, this is the app server 1. This is the disk option, and we have attached here one more disk. See, as a data disk. Okay.
Okay, from add disk option, you need to map that details.
Yes. Okay.
So generally, we share WWN number and all that stuff.
Yes. Okay. Now there is an option. Okay. Migrate to managed disk. So that virtual machine we have created with the unmanaged disk, and after creating the virtual machine with unmanaged disk, okay, if you wanted to convert with the managed, because managed disk is a recommended way and recommended option. Okay, so if you click here, then you can migrate it. But if you ask, can we do the reverse migration, unmanaged to managed to unmanaged, which is not possible. So there are other ways to do it, but there is no option, graphical option, like where you can do the migration. Okay. Any question till? Any doubt till?
How much is the possibility that this mapping can get removed?
Possible is no chance to remove the mappings. Okay, because each and everything managed by you and your team only, right?
like if we lost that drive, suppose you have mapped this as a E drive, as a data drive.
Right.
Now there is a problem connecting to E drive, or you are not able to access the D drive. So we need to go into this and check whether this mapping is there or not, or whether there any issue with that particular drive.
Right.
But then problem will be like, suppose I am taking a high-end machine and I am taking a unmanaged disk, and at the back end I am attaching a SATA or something like that. Then the whole performance would get degraded because the read write would be very slow on the SATA.
Right. So if you are deploying a high-end machine, like in my scenario, I'm also using the very high-end machines where the machine having 512 GB memory or a 64 core CPU for the SAP HANA, because we are dealing with the SAP infrastructures. So we are not using a standard disk, or we are not using the premium disk. We are using the ultra disk, which is recommended by SAP only, because there are very heavily transition is going on the database server. So standard disk, premium disk you can use for your lab purpose testing, or some non-critical machines you can use it. But into the high-end scenario, you have to use the ultra disk only.
Sir, hello, sir. Your voice not audible clearly, breaking in between.
Not sure what is the problem. So let me change the network then. Okay. So it's same with all, or specifically with you only?
I think it's okay, not an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
So people might be thinking that if I take a unmanaged disk, then my costing would be low as compared to managed disk option.
Not that much difference, Irfan, not that much. So if you get the virtual, let's see, if you deploy the virtual machine with managed disk, and that machine you're getting with the 2000 rupees per month. So the unmanaged disk virtual machine you will get with 1900 rupees. Not that much difference.
Sir, apart from this performance point of view, and the feature called capture which you showed, in managed and unmanaged, is there any other features we come across? I mean, specifically between these two?
You see, major difference is your monitoring and performance management. Okay, this is a major difference. Okay, when you compare with unmanaged and managed. So performance management and monitoring done by the Microsoft, and which is very important.
Okay, they will notify us as well through mail.
No, notify means, see, the performance. If you're asking the performance, see, there are two type of performance. Again, you need to understand the concept, right? As I explained. So if you're facing any issue related the disk, okay, from the operating system side, then you will not get any notification, because operating system managed by you. Microsoft is not managing your operating system, right? So if any issue related to the hardware side or from the infrastructure side, then you will get the notification from the Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now today we have covered multiple points. Okay, like IP addresses, disk, managed disk, unmanaged disk, and now we will cover one more topic, one more point, and then we will stop. Okay. So now we are going to cover image. Okay, master, how to convert the master image. So now I don't want that app server one. So let's delete the app server one. So the complete resource group, I'm going to delete it. Okay. And one more point I wanted to highlight here. So when you delete the virtual machine, Okay, let's see you deleted the virtual machine simply, right? So when you delete the virtual machine, Microsoft, as a safer side, Microsoft will not delete the disk from the backend in both scenario, either manage and unmanage. Okay, those disks we need to delete manually. Okay, or you can redeploy the virtual machines by using the existing disk. Okay, let me demonstrate. So we have deleted the virtual machine, right? Let's wait 2 minutes. Okay, so machine is getting deleted, right? So app server is getting deleted. Now let's go into the resource group. DC 300. See, there is no object of the virtual machine, right? But go into the storage account and containers, and we can see the disks here. See, this is your OS disk and this is your data disk. So we can deploy the virtual machine from the existing disk as well. So is clear or any question here?
You mean to say you will create a new VM and attach this disk over there?
Yes, yes, yes. See, your OS disk we cannot attach. Okay, let's compare with the VMware. Into the VMware, when we deploy the virtual machine, so VMware is asking, do you have any OS disk? Okay, but into the Azure, there is no option. We have to use the ARM template. We have to use a script. And into the script, we need to define the path of that particular disk. And then we can deploy the virtual machine by using the existing disk. So in next classes, we will do the lab as well, like how to deploy the virtual machine by using the existing disk.
So, so now we have this existing disk.
Yeah.
This Microsoft will add cost for this because we have deleted VM.
Yes, we have deleted the VM, means we are not using CPU and memory. Okay, we are consuming the storage with 127 and 32 GB. So Microsoft will cost here for the storage purpose. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We deleted the VM, but why it is still storing?
So as a safer side, yeah, see, we have deleted the VM, I agree. But as a safer side, Microsoft is not deleting any data. Microsoft is not deleting any disk from your account. So those disks you need to delete manually.
Okay, what is the time limit?
No, Microsoft will not delete. No, at all. Microsoft will not delete. What you need to do, you need to delete that particular disk manually. See, delete.
Okay.
Okay.
If we are not deleting that, bill will continuously generate.
Sorry.
If manually we not deleted that storage, that they charge for that one.
Yes, yes, yes. They are charging it. Yes, yes. Okay. So as a best practice, once you complete the lab, what you need to do, you need to delete the complete resource group. Delete resource group. So when you say delete resource group, Microsoft will delete all the objects from the resource group, and the resource group is also getting deleted from your account. Delete. Okay, now let's go into the first scenario, which is my app server we have deployed. And now I wanted to configure the image with some specific applications. So this is my server. So my requirement here is I need a master image with the specific applications. Okay, with one data disk as well. So already we have attached one data disk as well as a E drive with 32 GB. So let me deploy or let me install here a few applications. Mozilla Firefox. So by default, you will get the internet as well. Okay. Again, in networking, we will discuss like how we can block the internet, or next week also we can discuss into the NNG part, how we can manage the internet. Okay. Run. Let's see, Acrobat Reader also will install here. Let's install the Acrobat Reader as well. So I don't want those options. Okay, now let's understand the theory here and then we'll do the deployment. Okay, so my requirement here is I need 100 virtual machines. I need 100 VMs, but those 100 VMs, I need it with the required applications. I need a application 1, I need a application 2, I need a application 3, I need a application 4. Okay. So this is the requirement, okay, from my application team. 100 VMs with Windows 2K12 R2, 2K12 R2 with the required applications, right? So when you compare that particular scenario with the VMware, because the same kind of tool or option VMware is also providing. So what we need to do into the VMware things? Into VMware things, again, same thing. You need to deploy the virtual machine. You need to deploy the application. Application you need to deploy, and then you need to convert the VM, okay, to the okay. So you're converting your virtual machine into the template format. So template is an image. Okay, template is an image, and from that template, from that image, you're deploying the virtual machines, multiple virtual machines, right? So during the virtual machines deployment, okay, so especially we are talking on a VMware thing here, and then we will compare with the Azure. So during the virtual machine deployment from the template, so VM deployment, template, right? Your VMware is using the sysprep. So are you aware about sysprep? Sysprep. So sysprep is a default utility which Microsoft is offering inside the operating system. So by using the sysprep, we can customize the OS. Okay, we can customize it. So when you say I need here 100 virtual machines, so what is the prerequisite? We should get the 100 IP addresses as well. We should get the 100 host name as well, right? So if you're deploying the 100 virtual machine with the same IP address, so what will happen? IP conflict, right? So sysprep is taking care. Okay, sysprep is providing the new IP address. Okay, so you can generalize the template by using the sysprep, and then from that particular template you can deploy the virtual machine. So by using the sysprep, we can generalize the operating system with the new IP, with the new name, with the new settings as well. So when you compare with the Microsoft Cloud, into the Microsoft Cloud, the same concept we need to use, okay, with the different way. So first we need to configure the virtual machine, we need to configure the applications, and then we need to configure the sysprep. So into the VMware scenario, no need to configure the sysprep. So your VMware is injecting the sysprep files during the virtual machine deployment from the template. But now into the Microsoft scenario, the sysprep needs to be configured before converting the virtual machine into the image format. Okay, so everything is done, and now we need to configure sysprep. Okay, so sysprep we need to configure from the OS. From the OS, we need to configure it. And once you configure the sysprep, then you need to capture the Azure image. And then from that image, you can deploy the virtual machines. You can have the multiple virtual machine from that image. Now, during the virtual machine deployment, we are using the Microsoft image. Okay, let's go into the virtual machine. So now we have deployed the multiple virtual machines, right? Go to the VM, go to the add option, create a new virtual machine. See, image, and that particular images Microsoft is offering from the Microsoft end. So that image with only the operating system. But my requirement here is I need a virtual machine with the multiple applications as well. Okay, which is recommended from my application team. So we will not deploy a application 100 times on 100 server. Okay, so we are not going to use that particular image. We will use our own image once we create it. Okay, now let's go into the virtual machine. We have deployed two options. We have deployed Acrobat Reader. We have deployed Mozilla Firefox as well. So two applications we have on the server. And again, we have added one disk as well to the virtual machine. Okay, which is my data disk. Okay, with 32 GB. And now we need to configure the sysprep. We need to run the sysprep. So what is the path of sysprep? My computer, C drive, init pub ww root, sorry, Windows system 32,
It should be under C: 98 pub.
No. Sysprep. Yeah. So IS file you will get there. Okay, IS file you will get there. Sorry, my bad. Okay. So the sysprep path is default. This is a default path. C Windows and system 32, and you will get the sysprep directory here. And under the sysprep directory, you will get the sysprep.exe. Run as administrator. Okay. So we need to shut down the machine, and we need to generalize the machine. So generalize means this is the master image. Okay. And from that master image, we can have a multiple virtual machines. Okay. So generalize it and say okay.
In VMware scenario also we are doing the same thing for creating template.
No, into the VMware scenario, we are not doing any sysprep. VMware is doing the sysprep from the backend. Okay. Okay. So now virtual machine is in shutdown mode. Okay, let's go into the portal app server. Refresh, right? It is showing, now it is showing stop, and now we can capture the image. Okay, so when we capture the image, okay, when we capture the image, by default that image we can use into this only the same region. So we are capturing the image into the east to west. Now Microsoft has released the one more option, which is the shared image gallery. Okay, so we are not using a shared image gallery. Okay, we will discuss that particular feature later. So you can have that image with all regions. You can share it, but that option we will not discuss today. We'll discuss later. So this is the resource group, and my image name is Windows 2K12 R2. Let's see my image. Automatically delete the virtual machine. So Microsoft will capture the image and then Microsoft will delete the virtual machine. And let's review and create. Okay, now Microsoft is deleting the virtual machine. Okay, so deployment is completed here. Let's go into the resource group directly. Resource group under the DC200. See, now there is no virtual machine, but we have deleted the virtual machine, and with the same algorithm. Microsoft has deleted the virtual machine, but Microsoft has not deleted the OS disk and data disk. Still, OS disk and data disk you will get under the resource group. And again, Microsoft has created one image, Windows 2K12 R2. Okay, so what we need to do, let's go into the virtual machine option. Let's create a new virtual machine from our image. New resource group. Then let's see app server 2 east US, and now image. Let's go into the all image option, and under that you will get the one more option, my images. See, this is our image which we have created under the east US, and now we are going to select our image, okay, instead of Microsoft image. And other option we are going to select as a default admin 100. Okay, licensing type Windows Server, go to next. Everything is remain same. Is remain same. Let's deploy the machine. Now we are deploying the virtual machine from our template, our image. Let's create it, and that particular image we can use under the east US only, because the new feature we have not enabled, okay, which Microsoft is offering, the shared image. You can share that image with all other regions as well. So any question till, any doubt till?
Sir, where is the option for numbers? Means suppose I want to deploy 10 machines at a time.
No. That option you will not get. You need to use a template, JSON template. Automation, you need to do it.
Okay. But in VM, where we can do that?
Yes, into the VMware, when you do the server virtualization, again that option you will not get. If when you do the desktop virtualization, then that option you will get with the VMware Horizon View, okay, under VMware Horizon View. But in AWS, you will get that option. You can put the count there to deploy the multiple virtual machines.
Only through scripting.
Yeah. Into the Azure only through scripting, but into the future might be Microsoft will give that feature into the GUI as well.
Okay.
Because on daily basis, Microsoft is doing some enhancement into the features. Okay. Now we have deployed the virtual machine from the template, and now go to the resource. So this is my app server 2. So what is the expectation here now? The expectation here is like we should get applications which we have installed on the server, and one disk which is added into the virtual machine, right? So let's try to log in into the machine. So admin 100. This is the password. See, now we have Acrobat, we have Firefox, and let's go into the virtual machine. See, we have data disk as well with the 32 GB. Again, same disk we can see under the disk, and the disk we are getting from the template, because the template we have created with the disk. And when you deploy the virtual machine, by default, you will get the virtual machine with the third disk as well, which is 32 GB. So any question till, any doubt till?
So we have created this VM. So we have on a same OS disk in that image also.
Yes, yes. See, what you need to do into the production. If you are dealing with the multiple operating system, you need to deploy multiple images. Your first image with Windows 2K12, second image with Windows 2K16, third image with the 2K19. And as per your requirement, you need to use that image. Okay.
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 What is the swap OS disk?
Yeah, those options we will discuss next week. Okay. So during the troubleshooting, we can use that option. So let's take an example. Someone is asking, right? Like there is an issue with the OS disk. So how we can troubleshoot the issue? Let's take an example. You are doing the Windows patching. Okay. And before patching, you have created one snapshot. So snapshot is a very famous feature from the VMware, right? So with the same way on Azure also you can take a snapshot, but into the cloud, snapshot works on disk level. Into the VMware, snapshot works on virtual machine level, right? So you can take the snapshot of the disk, and during the troubleshooting you can swap that OS disk. Means instead of your disk you can have a snapshotted disk for the troubleshooting. Okay, so the next week we will discuss that option as well, how to create a snapshot, how works the snapshot. Then we'll understand the network security group as well. So any question till, any doubt till? So what I recommend, just create your account, Azure portal account, and let's start the practice. Okay, do the labs, perform the labs. If any question, any doubt, you can ask me on a WhatsApp. Okay, so we'll discuss if any issue, any doubt.